I would have one period in a year, which is insane. No test, no nothing, just go on the pill. You'll be fine, go on the pill. How did I even survive on that diet? I would eat that so many times in 1 week. It all kind of links in helping you get your periods back.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. But this video is going to be all about my journey with polycystic ovaries. I do suffer with polycystic ovaries. I've kind of learned along the way ways to deal with the symptoms of it, so I want to share that with you guys. Disclaimer before I get into anything: I am not a medical professional. I have no medical background. The information that I'm going to be sharing is kind of relaying information that I've been given by medical professionals and from my own research from medical websites. I will be linking some of the references below in the description box. So yeah, disclaimer, I'm not professional. Some of these things may not be 100% accurate, and the things that I have done to help with my symptoms may not help for everybody, but it's just things that have helped for me that I want to share in case it does help anybody else. The structure of this video, I'm going to kind of explain briefly what polycystic ovaries is, the symptoms that you can suffer with if you have polycystic ovaries. I'll then explain kind of like my journey with polycystic ovaries from the diagnosis to the treatments that the doctors were suggesting to me at the time, and then things that I decided to do and how that has helped me. And then at the end I will have like a little Q&A type section because I had some questions on my Instagram post and in my Instagram stories, so then I'll answer some of you guys' questions. So what is polycystic ovaries, or polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS for short? PCOS is, so basically polycystic ovaries means that you have multiple cysts on your ovaries. Normal ovaries do have cysts. Like the doctor told me that when you have a period, or when you release an egg, the egg actually gets released from a cyst on your ovary, which disappears once that egg is released. But people with polycystic ovaries have multiple cysts on the ovaries throughout the whole month, which confuses the ovaries and can affect when and if an egg gets released or not. So yeah, polycystic ovaries means that you have multiple cysts on your ovaries. It's like a hormone imbalance. So women that do have polycystic ovaries, they have more male hormones than someone who doesn't. So naturally, if you're a woman who has more male hormones, that can affect the menstrual cycle. So a lot of the time people that have polycystic ovarian syndrome just have irregular periods, or like no periods at all, or problems with their menstrual cycle. Symptoms that you can suffer with PCOS are, like I've mentioned, irregular periods. That is a symptom that I definitely suffered with, but I'll get into that in a bit. So irregular periods, some other symptoms, because you've got more male hormones, you can suffer with excessive hair. So women can get facial hair, excess body hair. You can also suffer with hair loss. You know how men kind of get a receding hairline as they get older? That can happen with women at an earlier age as well because of the male hormones that they've got. There's a relation between obesity and PCOS, so it kind of increases your chances of being obese, and it can make it more difficult for you to lose weight if you are overweight. That's a few of the symptoms, and I'm super grateful that I don't have all of those symptoms. The symptoms that I've personally suffered with are the irregular periods. That's been the main thing for me. Risks involved with having polycystic ovarian syndrome is you've got an increased risk. You've got an increased, oh my god, I can't speak today. Risks with PCOS is that you have an increased risk of developing cancer, like either cervical cancer or cancer in the uterus, your womb. Just in like the female reproductive system, you've got more chances of developing cancer. That is because women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome are likely to not have regular periods, which means that the lining of the uterus is not being released and shed every month, which is what the period blood is. So because that's not being cleared out each month, it can build up. And as you probably know, cancer is like a buildup of cells, like an excessive buildup of cells. So if you've got an excessive buildup of cells in your womb, your uterus, then that can lead into cancer in the area. Another risk is infertility. So of course, if you're not releasing an egg and you're not having periods, then you're going to struggle with getting pregnant, unfortunately. And another risk is diabetes, because there are links with insulin resistance. Because of the hormone imbalance in your body, if you have PCOS, it affects your insulin. It makes you insulin resistant, I believe, which means that it affects your body's ability to break down glucose, which can obviously then lead to type 2 diabetes. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of layers to it, and that's definitely a very brief description of it. There's a lot more that goes into it. It's quite like a complicated condition, I think. So yeah, I'm going to link some more references where you can read up, and some videos about it that kind of describe it a little bit better than what I have just done. So how did I know that I had polycystic ovaries? So I started my periods when I was 13, I believe. I was around 13 years old when I had my first period. And from the time that my period started, they had always been irregular. There were times, before I got diagnosed, there were times when I would have one period in a year, which is insane. Like I would go like 10 months, have a period, 6 months, have a period, 3 months, have a period. So they were just literally so irregular, so infrequent, and a lot of the time it was just one period a year, which sounds great. Girls that have regular periods are probably like, what? That sounds like heaven. But when you think that the reason you're not having a period is because of like a health issue, then it's actually not that fun. Also, during the times that I wasn't having a period, it's like sometimes I would feel like I was going to come on. So it's like I was always having to carry sanitary products with me, because it felt like it could come without warning at any time, which is super inconvenient, because, you know, like you kind of need to know when your period is going to come. There have been endless amounts of times when I've been like, shit, I think I've just come on my period, and had to go to the bathroom to check if I've come on my period or not, which I actually haven't. You know, if you've got a holiday booked or something, a lot of people that have regular periods, they'll know whether they're going to be on their period or not. I never had that. And there have been times when I'm in a bikini by the pool and I feel like, oh no, I've just come on and I've got a white bikini on and I have no tampons or pads with me. So like, yes, this is fun. So yeah, super inconvenient, because I didn't know when it was going to come. And when it did come, it would come without warning. So yeah, that was a bit of a struggle. So to be honest, that was the main reason why I went to the doctors, because of the irregular periods. So I went there and said, basically, like, I'm having one period a year. I would go 9-10 months without periods, and the doctors were basically like, go on the pill. No test, no nothing, just go on the pill. You'll be fine, go on the pill. So they basically said that going on the pill may help your body get used to having the regular periods. Because they put me on the pill where you have the 1 week break, so then you have the period and then you start the pill again. That obviously didn't work. So I would be on the pill. I wasn't using it for contraception at the time, so there was a time when I was like, okay, let me come off the pill and see if my periods are now regular. Came off the pill, went straight back to just not having periods. So then I went back to the doctors and told them that, said I'd been on the pill for X amount of time, come off of it to test it, and my periods are still not there. So then that's when they said that they want to do some further tests. So the way that PCOS gets diagnosed is, what do they call it? It's like, what do they call it? When you have to exclude other conditions before you diagnose. Is it diagnosis by exclusion? Something like that. So basically they have to test all other things first. And then if you don't have any of those other things, then they'll diagnose you with polycystic ovaries. I hope that makes sense. So they tested my thyroid, because the thyroid can have like similar symptoms to polycystic ovaries. they did like a few different tests. I can't actually remember all of them, but I had a few different tests and all of them came back negative. Then the last test that they did was an ultrasound scan. I had 2 scans. One was a scan where they actually had to scan inside, so they did have to insert like the ultrasound thing inside to see my ovaries from the inside, and then they also did do a scan just on my belly, like as if you were pregnant. And then that's kind of when they could see all the different cysts on my ovaries, so they could kind of confirm that, yeah, you've got polycystic ovaries, you've got the irregular periods, and you've got cysts on your ovaries, so the likelihood is that it is polycystic ovaries. So now I had my diagnosis, and even after being diagnosed with it, they still said, just go on the pill. Which, like, I do get why they told me to go on the pill, because it can help with some of the symptoms. But I don't know, I just think they're too quick to dish out the pill. So quick to give out the pill, like ridiculously fast to give out the pill. But anyway, yeah, so they suggested I go on the pill. Main reason being is because I wasn't having regular periods. They said that my chances of getting cancer were increased. So I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to have cancer, so let me go on the pill. I did go back on it for a little while, but the second time round it wasn't agreeing with me at all. I was feeling constantly sick all day, every day. I was an emotional wreck. I was getting palpitations. Yeah, so I was like, this ain't for me. And I was concerned about the effects that it was having long term on my body. And I was concerned about fertility, because I've already been concerned about fertility because of me having polycystic ovaries. So then I didn't want to add something else onto that concern. So then I came off of the pill and started researching more into natural ways to get a regular period, and a lot of it was saying to change your lifestyle, so change your diet, exercise more, things like that. So I started to implement some things and I saw a difference. So some of the main changes that I have done that has made a difference to me is losing weight. I've never been big, I've never been overweight at all, but I tend to fluctuate between like 148 pounds to like 140 pounds. So like between 140 and 148 pounds is where I tend to fluctuate between. So not like a massive difference, but if I go over like 144, 145 pounds, then my periods just disappear. If I'm under that weight, so if I stick around 140 to 145 pounds, then my periods are regular. So for me, there has literally been a direct correlation between my weight and my periods. So even if you're not overweight, maybe lose 2 or 3 pounds, and that may make all the difference. I started exercising more, which obviously kind of links in with the weight loss and just being overall more physically healthy. The main changes that I made to my diet, because PCOS affects your body's resistance to insulin, that means that your body can't really deal with carbohydrates and sugars very well, because your body isn't doing what it should be doing to break those things down. So there was a time when I pretty much completely cut out carbs, which obviously isn't really, you can't really sustain that long term. So there was a time when I was eating pretty much no carbs, but then I kind of altered it, so I was eating some carbs like sweet potato and stuff like that. But honestly, I used to live on carbs. I used to eat so much pasta, so much pizza, and like my meals would literally be pasta covered in cheese. That would be a meal, pasta and cheese. How did I even survive on that diet? I would eat that so many times in 1 week, and in the days where I wasn't eating that, I was eating pizza. So it was just nothing but carbs and cheese, carbs and dairy, 2 things that I did not need to be eating. I cut out carbs, I cut out dairy. Dairy has helped in other things as well. Dairy helped with my skin. Dairy helped me have less painful periods. There's links between dairy and inflammation in your womb, which makes, if you have more inflammation, that makes your periods more painful. So if you cut out dairy, you'll have less inflammation, which means less pain. I experienced that. So I cut out dairy, which helped with the pain. I cut out carbs, which helped with me maintaining having the regular periods. And that also obviously helps with the weight loss. So it kind of all links in. It all kind of links in helping you get your periods back. Now I don't eat pasta. Don't remember the last time I had pasta. The only time I really eat pasta is if I'm like going out to an Italian restaurant or something, and I'll have pasta then. I don't eat bread anymore. Again, if I go out to eat, I might have a burger, I might have a pizza, but at home I don't eat any bread. So at home, no bread, no pasta. The carbs that I do eat are, I eat a lot of sweet potato, I eat rice, I eat couscous, I eat bulgur wheat. Yeah, so those are my carbs. I started eating more fruit and vegetables. That's good whether you've got polycystic ovaries or not, of course. So I started eating more of that. And seeds. Seeds are good for hormones, particularly flax seeds. I drink loads of water and I exercise a lot. Those things have made me get my periods back. So I used to go about 10 months. So I used to have one period a year. I now have a period. My periods are now regular, and I have a period once every 5 weeks. So it's still not the typical average cycle length, but it's regular, so I'm more than happy with that. So my periods tend to be once every 5 weeks, and yeah, now I feel so, since I've made those changes, I feel so in tune with my body that it's actually ridiculous. I feel like I know at what stage of the cycle that I'm at all the time, because I know how I feel. It sounds absolutely ridiculous. You're probably gonna think I'm a crazy woman for saying this, but I know when I'm ovulating. A lot of the time I know which ovary I'm ovulating from. I know when my period is going to come, and that's because my symptoms now throughout the whole month, not even just on my period, but throughout the whole month, are textbook symptoms for each stage of the cycle. I'm not going to go into those symptoms because that's a little bit too much TMI, but yeah, I know each stage of the cycle, which before I never knew what was happening inside my body, but now I feel like I really do know what's happening inside my body, and it's a really good feeling. So my top tips would be lose weight, exercise more, change your diet, try and cut out some carbs if you can, and replace them for other healthy carbs. Now what I'm going to do, I had some questions on my Instagram, so I'm just going to go through some of those now, just to try and make sure that I'm covering everything that you guys wanted to know about. How were you diagnosed? Was it by having a blood test, as I have been experiencing irregular periods? So just because you have irregular periods doesn't necessarily mean that you have polycystic ovaries. As I mentioned before, they rule out other symptoms first. So I did have a blood test to test my thyroid. I had ultrasound scans. And that the results of those combined with me having irregular periods is what made them decide that yes, I do have polycystic ovaries. So if you are having irregular periods, I will go to your doctors and let them know that, and then they will do the necessary test. You probably will have to have a blood test, and you'll probably have to have an ultrasound scan. It's more than one test that they have to do because they have to rule out other conditions before they diagnose polycystic ovaries. Have you any thoughts on seeing a gynecologist to investigate your fertility at such a young age? I mean, I've thought about it, but at the same time, I don't think it's really necessary right now. I'm not trying to get pregnant anytime soon. I'm not trying to have a baby. Also, I'm not actually too concerned about my fertility because I've managed to get my periods regular. Because my periods are regular, that means that I'm releasing an egg every month. So I am confident as I can be that my fertility is okay. I also know quite a few women who suffer with polycystic ovaries that weren't having regular periods and they still managed to get pregnant. So at this point, no, it's not something that I'm worried about, and something that I'm not actually going to worry about until I'm trying for a baby. Did you take any kind of medications? So not medication, but I went on the contraceptive pill to help the symptoms of not having a period. And yeah, just wondering if you've looked into any herbal alternative medicine. Not necessarily alternative medicine, but I'm always looking into like different things that I can incorporate into my diet. So I guess in a way that is medicine. Yeah, I'm not really a medicine type of person. So I do always try to find like natural ways to solve the problem instead, and it's worked for me, so I'm going to continue to do that. How are you able to identify that you had PCOS? Was it recommended by a doctor? So yeah, I went to the doctors because I wasn't having periods. Then I had all the necessary tests and they diagnosed it. Do you suffer from acne or rapid hair growth? I don't. I feel for the women who do suffer with acne and rapid hair growth, because they must be symptoms that are really difficult to deal with, because they're more physical, like visible symptoms. The main symptom that I suffered with was the lack of periods. Do you get painful cramps? My periods used to be more painful when I was eating dairy. Now that I cut out dairy, my pain has decreased quite a lot. Sometimes I do get cramps, but they're not severe at all. Like, I know people that suffer with really, really, really bad period cramps to the point where they can't really do things in like the first couple of days of their period. Mine are not like that. I can still kind of function. I might feel a bit shit but I can still do things, and occasionally I'll have a period that is more painful than the other, but yeah, nothing excessive when it comes to pain. If you do have any more questions, please leave them in the comments box below. Also, feel free to DM me on my Instagram, which is AbbieCurls, and let me know if you would like a follow-up video, because this video has been quite like general, because I didn't really know the direction that you guys need or like what help you need. So this is kind of like a general video about it. So if you do feel like you need a more detailed video on specific areas of it, please let me know. I'm thinking I'll probably do one on diet, specifically on diet and the things that I eat, because I think that's going to be quite helpful, because that's what I have found most helpful in my journey with PCOS. But yeah, if there's any other topics surrounding this that you would like me to touch on, please leave them in the description box below. I hope you found this helpful. As always, thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Twitter. Like, comment and subscribe. Everything is AbbieCurls, all my social AbbieCurls. And yeah, I will see you in my next one. Thank you so much. Bye.